it's Jen Suzuki, and I'm in the industry. I meet some of the greatest leaders out there, dealer execs, dealers, GMs, and I'm bringing them in the studio to talk to me about what's making their business pop, what's accelerating their growth. I'm sharing my own personal strategies for your sales teams, so I'm ready to get after it. Are you? Well, welcome back, listeners. I have Carla Wade with me. Now, she is the most cheerful, delightful person to talk to. And if you happen to be at the NADA show coming up in January, you must stop by the Lotlinx booth and meet Carla. She's just a delight to talk to. And she is the Chief Revenue Officer for Lotlinx, and I've spent many a times with her. I love the way that she has such passion for the business. And today I'm going to ask her about current market conditions in the dealership, the challenges that dealers are facing right now, and how they're solving some of these problems by leveraging AI in their marketing tools, in their marketing toolbox, if you will. And I think that it's good to talk about consumer behavior too, because it's constantly changing, which is, changing the landscape for dealers too. I mean, right now, I'm sure Carla will talk to this, but I feel badly for dealers who didn't have any floor plan expense. And that's kind of the big thing right now is a lot of cars out there. Everybody wants to move them, and it costs money to keep those cars on the lot. But let me give you a warm welcome to my friend, my colleague, Carla Wade.
Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for that intro. Boy, I feel a little under pressure here now. I really need to make sure I keep it cheerful. Um, but thanks for that. Listen, we love your show. We love listening to you. We love the partnership that you lend and the support that you lend for dealers. And I'm really excited to chat with you today on some of these topics.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's jump into it. Tell me about the current market challenges. What's kind of going on with the state of new car inventory, used car inventory, and the challenges that dealers are facing right now, having so much inventory. And it's not every dealer. Look, I was in a Toyota store like 2 weeks ago. They're still pipeline selling. But if I'm in a CDJR store, they definitely have a lot of inventory out there. And a lot of people have, gone heavy with used cars when they don't have new cars sitting there. So nonetheless, there's inventory out there.
Yeah, I mean, come on. How many more changes are we going to have exactly, right? I mean, what's the change du jour right now? And that's kind of what it's felt like over the last couple of years, definitely since COVID, right? We've undergone some of the most drastic pivots and turns I think the auto industry has ever seen in its history.
Mhm.
And, even though right now we're in a little bit of a mixed bag, right? So like you said, Toyota is, not having as many inventory issues as some of our other OEMs out there, but like even just the economy at large, right?
Mhm.
So today we're an electoral year, so that always keeps things interesting. But also the economy's had a couple of swings, right? So even though we seem to be kind of recovering a little bit on the economic side, the consumers, the auto buyers, are still kind of scarce. And you'll find that a lot of customers these days are doing an extraordinary amount of research before they step into a dealership or before
Mhm.
they make their final decision. I think I was doing some research on what the latest kind of, stats were, and folks are spending between 13 to 15 hours. And typically that equates to about 1 to 3 months of time just making a decision, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Checking out all the websites, going on, all of the search engine sites, trying to figure out what their next best move is. Because, of course, the inflation with interest rates, which I'm starting to see some things temper, but it's ever so slow and it's ever so slight. Folks really want to make wise decisions when it comes down to buying these vehicles. So
Mhm.
they spend a lot of time online,
Mhm.
and in doing that, they're also now willing to kind of step outside of ordinary measures. So spending all that time online. Let's say, for example, they find their vehicle and it is 50 miles out. They're more prone now to actually jumping in the car and driving 50 miles to go buy a car, where
Mhm.
back in the day, you jump in your vehicle, you go around your local market, and that was enough for you. So
Mhm.
it really has created a little bit of additional swirl into consumers' habits right now as well.
I couldn't agree more, and I see this on the other end of it because I'm in dealerships every week and I'm working with sales teams. I'm in their CRMs, and even just yesterday, I was with a team of 200 salespeople. And when I asked them about buy cycles, I polled them. I said, when do you think that people actually pull the trigger? And that's after they've actually got to the point where they're going to submit a lead or call the dealership.
Hmm.
And many of them said 30 days. I have a feeling it's even longer because based on my experience, I would say a lot of it's 90 days. But the problem is people don't really get to that follow-up point that
Right.
far out to even find out. But yeah, I have to agree. When I talk to customers, they are definitely doing a lot longer term research now, which is because there's a lot of different incentives right now.
Hmm.
We're seeing 0%, 1.9. We're seeing extended terms going out, extended terms that we hadn't seen in the past. We're seeing rebates, incentives, and there's very little loyalty, out there. So now all the brands have opened up. So people are
Yeah.
looking at multi-brands. There's a lot of lease payments. Manufacturers going hard on leases right now. So it's kind of exciting because you're trying to figure out, well, what's my best deal? And that actually takes time. But I have to agree with you. Even the dealership I was at this week, the average distance, you're gonna die when you hear this. And I don't think this is like real life data, but I mean, I'm talking about we're in Pennsylvania. This is not like out in the sticks, okay? 1.5 hours. They were they had this corporate data. 40%, I think they said. No, I think they said 20% of their overall traffic was over 1.5 hours away.
Wow.
And that was what I kept hearing. I thought it was higher than 20% based on the calls and what people were setting appointments from. But that just says like, wow, we have a big market to tackle.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it just goes to show, right, that like traditional methods have kind of gone out of the window.
Hmm.
So, back in the day, I mean, I remember when I was in the dealership, we had aged inventory, whether it be new or used car, right? And the strategy was get that car out front, put some balloons on it,
Hmm.
park it right in front of the road so that as people are driving by, and if you're on a highway, like let it be seen, put it prominently on the showroom, put a sticker on it saying it's discounted, it's this, it's that, all the features. And those methods just don't stick anymore, right?
Right.
Now your online presence and how you present yourself to that online shopper means more than what you have on your showroom floor. So you have to think differently. It's time to pivot. I think the
Mm.
loyalty thing is a double-edged sword, right? So where you'll find that some car dealerships could rely on seeing those true blues coming back through their showroom every 3, 4 years if they were leasing with you, or at least in your service drive, ever
Hmm.
so often we could strike up a trade conversation or, work on that relationship.
Hmm.
That the volatility of the market during those early COVID years have really pushed people to making different decisions, and mainly out of scarcity. We couldn't
Hmm.
find cars at one point, right? And now we're kind of bloated with them, but folks have already made decisions to go someplace else or try something different, right?
Hmm.
Allowing that new brand to maybe become their loyal brand, depending on the experience. So, what you do online, how you
Hmm.
showcase yourself, how you manage your dealership website, all these little things now matter so much more than they may have in previous years.
Hmm. Like branding, the way that you describe your cars or the value you bring to the table so that people know the
Hmm.
extras, why people buy from your store. These things become important to put on your listings because they are traveling. Your market just opened up. Yay.
Yep.
But your competitors may not have they may have the same exact listing as you and you want to make your cars pop.
That's right. That's right. So, having great photographs on your site and uploading them as
Mhm.
quickly as you possibly can,
Mhm.
making sure that your pricing is competitive to your market. And that doesn't just mean your tiny little nucleus, but it could be your entire area of influence, right? Making
Mhm.
sure that you're priced right. So when you do pop up and they do see what they're looking for, that
Mhm.
you've got that draw, that hook to bring those customers in and that you're being competitive.
So this is sort of dealerships reimagining, re-engineering their showrooms to really adapt to the market conditions as you describe and I'm describing. So looking at the listings and the descriptions and the photos, is there anything else that you could dial into that you've seen that is real attractive? That way that dealer's getting the maximum exposure when people are doing their research for so long. What do we want them to actually see and what should stand out?
Yeah, so it's such a daunting task, right, Jen? I mean,
Yeah.
imagine like trying to put one human being to kind of figure this all out and make sure that all those things are ticking is a full-time job, right? I mean, it takes a lot of man hours, and a lot of our dealers these days are running on leaner crews, right? Trying to be
Yes.
a little bit more efficient with
Mm-hmm.
their spend and with their people and their capital and so on. Well, the same thing can be said for your virtual showroom
Mm-hmm.
and your website and so on, and how you're showcasing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of tools that are out there these days, both
Yeah.
AI and machine
Mm-hmm.
learning based, that can help bring those insights in to give you that extra edge or that advantage over what's going on out there, so that you can kind of make the right decisions for your inventory as as the month draws on.
Because the pricing is got to be this primary piece. Sure, you've got these great photos and you've got these videos and 360s and blah blah blah. And you've got these great descriptions and you're showcasing your store and your value and you've got your website tight and right. And as you mentioned, it's like how many things can a person do? So you're just trying to reduce the tasks on the table.
Hmm.
And this is why I love AI because, it's about efficiency. It's about getting more accurate data and having somebody sort of like in your corner going to bat with you, helping you make better choices in the cars that either you're bringing in or how long you keep them. And most importantly, I think, pricing, I don't know, am I far off?
Yeah, I mean, and it's based on intelligence, right? Data insights.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, and God bless our used car managers, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that used to be the unsung hero in the dealership, right? Not only do you have to look at a vehicle on trade, got to check it all out and put the
Mm-hmm.
right price on it and make sure that reconditioning happens and it happens quickly and you can put it back on the front line and it's
That's
priced
right.
right to sell within a pretty quick turnaround time, and that you did all of those things well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now there's so many tools now that can help those managers be way more accurate and way more efficient as used car inventory started to bloat. Now, used cars are kind of a little bit of a different animal, right? Because you have the opportunity to have that one off, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
unique. They're all different. So
Yeah.
you may have that one beautiful piece of metal that someone has been searching for, fiercely, and that is enough for you to move the needle. That could be the case. You could have the only one or the very few that are in the market, which gives you that edge, right? Which allows you to kind of hang on to price and feel confident that you've got the right stuff for that buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then conversely, and then in some cases with our new car inventory, where maybe it's your staple bread and butter model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you know that you sell a ton of these, but so does the other dealer, say manufacturer down the street, and the one that's 30 or an hour away, right? Because now we know that consumers will drive for, right? How do
Yeah.
you know where they are priced, right? How do you know if you are competitive or if you are attractive? I've got the right price line in the market for that consumer as well, right? And that's where AI can really help bring those insights in so you can make better, more informed decisions about how you showcase your vehicles online or how you price them.
And thinking about those angles, what do you see as like the biggest challenge that dealers facing right now, and how could AI solve that problem? I mean, run me through the top three that you see.
Yeah, I would say that it's gathering market intelligence,
Okay.
right? Quickly and effectively. It's time efficiency. Again, we're running lean, right? And one human all day long, you're sitting behind a computer trying to crunch numbers and figure out whether you've got it. Let the machines do that work for you. It's a matter of seconds. Oh, and it's dynamic, right? It
Yeah.
changes as the market changes. so does the data, so does the information. It can come directly to your fingertips. And then also it helps you to make better informed decisions that now help your profitability, right?
Mhm.
Directly hits that bottom line. You maybe could hang on to a price point instead of discounting that vehicle, reducing its price, and hanging on to that revenue versus losing it when you didn't have to. So it can really be a massive game changer for dealers these days.
So, some of my top performing stores, they would describe their used car manager as a person who's able to research the market every day and adjust their pricing every day. And I
Mhm.
always say to myself, how can this be? How can this person really be doing this all day long?
Yeah.
And then, we've sat down and looked at tools that you show dealers every day that would help alleviate some of this time. Because what if the what if a report could just tell you, look, these are the cars that you have in stock. This is what the market exists. You don't need to mark down this car. You just have to market it differently. Nobody's seeing this car. But if you were to look at the market and you're like, oh, look at that, you got the best car, but it's been sitting in your lot, that just means it needs more exposure, not that you need to discount it. But if I have a
Yeah.
tool that can make those calls for me, flag it and be like, "Hey, Jen, this is what," because sometimes I think people are quick to hang on to cars too long. That's what we're trying to get out of that mentality. Get back to the old days of, what we got benchmarks to lean in on. But I think that people don't know that all this technology exists or how to use it, and sometimes it can be really intimidating for people. So that's why I say, what are the main problems that we're seeing in the industry? These main problems that can be solved simply by using a better tool. So looking at the market, being able to assess the market and see, what cars are being priced at and where you exist in the marketplace, and also being able to look at all of your cars and say, hey, are they being exposed properly? Are they the right cars that are being exposed? Do we need to shift some of that around? So, the car that we thought we need a discount maybe just needs to, it's priced right because we got the tools to do that, but we just need to get it seen.
So let's harp on that a little bit, right? You mentioned the word exposure. So knowing how to price it, understanding what you have in the market and whether it's unique to your dealership or if there's a ton of them out there, the demand, right?
Yeah.
That's one aspect. The next aspect are the actionable items. So now that you have all of this information, what do you
Hmm.
do, right?
Yeah.
And we have a saying here at Lotlinx, and it's a car unseen, it's a car unsold, right?
That's
And
true.
it's one of my favorite lines because
Okay.
that's the next step. We're talking about those online shoppers. How do you engage with them, right? How do you make yourself seen?
Yeah.
And if you were to sit down, if the used car manager were to sit down and now get all these insights, okay, I've got the diamond in the rough on this vehicle, so we're going to hang
Yes.
tight on this. We've got a ton of these, and there's a ton in the market, so let's adjust this, blah blah blah. And then it's okay. Where do I put them? How do I showcase all of these so that people online that are looking find my car,
Yeah,
find
especially
my
when they're far out of
dealership?
my market, because I love to
Absolutely.
pull in those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And so what we've seen is that when you drill things down to the VIN level, right?
Mhm.
So that is make, model, trim, right? The demand, the capacity for that specific car. When you do that and
Mm.
you start now to display that vehicle in front of those buyers, not the shoppers. So think of that, that funnel. At the very top, you've got those shoppers, and probably the 90 days are all the way at the top. I would say those 1 monthers, the 30-day ones you were talking about, Jen, are like somewhere right in the middle somewhere. But those folks that are ready to strike, have figured out what brand they want, figured out what model they want, know what price point they want to part with, and they're right at the bottom of that funnel ready to strike. How do you get in front of them?
Yeah, how do
Because
we get in
they are
front of
the
them?
ones that will move the needle for you, right? This month can make your
Yeah.
month, can make or break your month. And
Mm.
that's by placing your vehicle in really dynamic campaigns that make sure that your vehicle is being seen at the right place at the right time by the right buyer, right? And that's what some machine learning tools, like Lotlinx, can provide, right? Is that exposure with the right
Mm.
customer and your vehicle, making those connections.
When you see dealers adopt new technology? And I am such an advocate for adopting new technology. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's, you know, Lotlinx isn't new to AI or machine learning. They're like the
No.
OGs when it comes to digital marketing and automotive. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, and so, but a lot of people got into AI and really marketing. We have an AI tool over the last year, and I think it can cause a lot of noise out there and confusion even for people who are clouding what it is and what it actually can do for you. But I think that having a better understanding of technology, and that's why I like having this conversation with you, helps bring awareness to things that are emerging and evolving, and availability of tools for dealers to make their lives easier and more cost efficient. I mean, we want to be able to move cars faster. Everybody wants to move cars faster. And did you know that AI can help you do that on a VIN level? I want to be able to get cars reconditioned and get my money back as soon as possible, you know, but
Mhm.
sometimes cars have been sitting on the lots for a really, really long time. So getting dealers to be aware of new emerging technologies and being able to adopt them in their stores. Give me some best tips maybe on how somebody who's unfamiliar with this territory could become more acclimated to it and understand it better. What's the best and fastest way to learn it, understand it, and what it could do for them? And secondly, um, do you know, like, there's something that dealers right now are just like really hungry for that you just keep hearing repeatedly, like this is their biggest problem, and obviously you're talking about solutions, and what is that big solution for that main problem?
Yeah, it's really daunting, right? And especially when you're in an not only because AI and machine learning is a new tool, right? A new resource for dealers today, but it's also every time you turn around, there seems like there's a new company that's popping up that
Exactly.
does something
So
that can give you
confusing.
stuff that, and how do you figure out whether it's the right tool for you or if it's the
Yeah.
tool that you need, right? And
Yes.
so I think that if I were to give like a baseline education on how to figure out where to go first, depending on the problem you're trying to fix, is look at AI and machine learning and what do those two things mean, right? So though they are very well intertwined, they perform different actions. So, for example, AI is gathering a wealth of intelligence and data, right? Disseminating that data and giving you an insight. That's AI, right? Looking at the big picture and accumulating a result based on that big picture. Machine learning takes all of that data and your situation, your specific situation, and then starts to understand your behavior, right? And then how to best into that data for your specific need, right? So you'll find that some leverage AI but don't have machine learning. Machine
Mm,
learning is the caveat to making it personal.
mhm.
Because if I have a dealership and you have a dealership, we could be in the same town, but we have different brands. Different brands have different needs, have different audiences, right? Have different price points.
Sure.
So where AI gives us that broad, common intelligence for both of
Mhm.
us, the machine learning understands my specific needs and how to fix my specific problem, right?
Mhm.
And so when you're searching for companies, look for that. Do they have AI and machine learning? Are you
Mm,
getting the big data or are you getting the big data with the personalized insights, right?
mm.
So that's one way to kind of look at it if you were to just
Great.
do a,
Yes, that's
you
easy to
know,
understand.
tech 101. But on top of that too is what's your end goal, right? So we find that when we talk to a lot of dealers, the measuring stick is a little bit skewed, right? It's like, oh, got so many clicks, people click on that, this car is getting all this traction, all these people are looking at the car, but it's still at your dealership. What's your
Right.
end goal for that car? Do you want people to just see it and click on it? Is it
No.
because it's yellow and the only one and it's beautiful and it's hot and it's rare?
Yes, I
Or
like
is
that.
it because someone's ready to come in with a check saying, that's my car,
Okay, I
right?
like that one better.
So we need to understand what we need to measure here.
Mm.
And measuring how quickly we can get that beautiful yellow beast off your lot, that's the measuring, the measurement, the metric, if you will, that you
Mhm.
want to track, right? And so I think that a lot of times we've like through all these ebbs and flows, and it is not our dealer's fault, right? We've thrown a lot at them in a very short space of time. We've all been pivoting around all of these crazy changes and trying to keep up with it all. But the true measurement should be how quickly does this tech get this car off my lot?
Ooh.
How efficient was it with doing so? And how much money did I save by targeting that right audience, bottom of the funnel,
Mhm.
right? At the
Mhm.
right time.
With the
And
right
that's
price.
at the right price. Come on, all of it. So, those are some of the triggers. So, like getting the clicks and getting the likes and get those things do not move your inventory. There's a
Mm.
number of people, sitting back clicking on cars because they're enthusiasts, right?
Mhm.
Because they love it, right? They could be a buyer or not, but you want those low funnel buyers. So those folks that are going to look at your vehicle, your inventory, and they're ready to come in, check in hand.
How do you find the right in-market buyers? Like, how does AI do that? Or how does machine learning do that? How do you put your cars in front of the most probable person for that car? I mean, I love an in-market buyer. I'm always going after in-market buyers. But I
Hmm.
think that a lot of times it's hard to figure out, like, where are they? Because, I've seen a lot of technology out there now where they track buyers. And this also helps me to say, I can see that buyers are taking, 30, 60, 90 days to pull the trigger because you can see with a lot of people's tools now, the journey. You can see they went on
Hmm.
Auto Trader and watched this video. You can see they went on the dealer website and, looked at these 3 cars, and you can see all these things. You can see these patterns. So how do you find that? Because we're all I want more of those.
Yeah. And so that's the beauty of the machines, right? And that's what it's
Yeah.
doing. It's constantly crunching your actions 24/7, right? So even if that buyer or shopper even is
Yeah.
online at 3 a.m. and looking for, blue Nissan, at 3 a.m. because they have insomnia, that
Mhm.
data is being collected, right, and being disseminated. But if the machine finds that you're looking at a Nissan and a Toyota and a Mazda and a BMW, they're like, this person is not ready. They're still trying to figure out where they want to be. So
Uh-huh.
what winds up happening is organically, you think about you as a shopper. You start with a bunch of stuff in your cart, and by the time you're ready to go to check out, you've got
It's
two
so
items,
true.
right?
Yes.
Unless you're going to Costco, that's a different story
Oh,
altogether.
tell me about it.
Huh. But people's behavior, organic behavior, is that you start wide and then you start to narrow it in. And once
Yeah.
a shopper has found the car of their choice, you'll find that now it's the same model, sometimes very similar trim, maybe a different color, and it's a constant, right? Just trying to find the right place, the right one. And so that's how it learns when the consumer is ready and
Mhm.
it's low funnel, right? And that's why using a tool that has that type is looking at that type of data, that type of intelligence, not just are you clicking on it at 3 a.m., but are you
Yeah.
clicking at 3 a.m. and that's all you're clicking on and you're ready, right? So that's how the insights boil it down for you.
So helpful. You are just like really good at translating. Um, you know, tech to like real people talk. I have to ask you something because these are all the targets that these are things that my dealers are asking me for. These are things that
Yeah.
we're always talking about. But you have all these new interest rates out there, and the manufacturers dropping a lot of lease payments, really going hard on the lease. And I see some incentives, in certain models, heavy incentives. So for me, I'm always saying we need to go after customers. We want low hanging fruit. So I'm often in them encouraging to not only leverage stuff like this, but take it even further. Like go into your database and find the people that are the higher probability. Now that's a lot of legwork. You're taking all that out on the other side of it, but it's an act that people can do in the dealership to maximize
Yep.
their sales and become number one. So in thinking about this, I've got some cars. They just dropped an incentive. How do I leverage machine learning or AI to get them exposed so I can move new car inventory off the lot faster?
Yeah. So what we do here at Lotlinx is that we create campaigns, right?
Okay.
And a lot of times we allow the machines to kind of compile the campaigns for us. They'll let us know who, based on its intelligence,
Hmm.
is out there shopping. And if the demand is for vehicles that we have, if we can feed that need, right? And it would recommend that you throw those into a campaign so it can be seen and
Hmm.
that it can kind of draw that buyer to your landing page, your dealership website. This is why keeping your website up to date, clean, lots
Hmm.
of pictures is so important because we're driving traffic there, right? So those things need to kind of work in concert. But you can even use a dynamic campaign and insert vehicle here with new incentive, right? Now, the machine may have probably already sussed out that that's what's going on because it's also collecting OEM feeds and OEM data and information,
Okay.
so that it can help correlate that and make those decisions for you as well. But throw those into a campaign and make sure that those are being seen and being advertised in front of your customers to help maximize its efficiency and its turn. Yeah, for sure. These are a lot of the things that, listen, it's AI and HI, right? So the human element is not
Yeah.
lost. We've not been replaced by robots. But
No.
really, when you can work with it in concert, it can truly be a really, really powerful thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much we can do, and human effort is best served, in certain aspects of the sales process versus data research, for example. Who
Certainly,
wants?
yeah,
No, no, thank you.
yeah.
Uh,
We're still here. We've not been replaced yet. Humans are still here.
well, of course, yes. Well, is there anything I should have asked that would help me better understand, like, just the industry right now? I think you really did a great job of sharing some insights with us and biggest challenges and ways that can be, we could solve them and how we can leverage technology. I think that people are really starting to perk up and listen to what's out there, but I also think it's a lot of noise, and you really broke it down for us in an easy way to understand.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we know there's a lot of pain out there,
Yeah.
but do some research. Like NADA is coming up soon, right?
Yeah.
So I would say even before that, go online. Think about your pain points first and foremost. So let me dial
Okay.
that back. Think about
Yeah.
your pain points. What is really keeping you up at night at your dealership today, right?
Okay.
Go online, seek out some of those vendors because there's a tremendous amount of vendors out there utilizing technologies to help dealers in very dynamic ways, right? Um, Go online, search those out. If you're looking for an inventory management solution, give us a call, look us up, ask for a demo. We'd be happy to take you through way more in depth information than I was able to provide today. But seek those things out based on your problem, right?
Hmm.
And then elicit some of the help or look at some of the technologies that are out there. Put your AI ML cap on, right? How can you make this personalized and specific for my needs, my dealership, my problem, and do some research.
Hmm.
You'd be surprised what you find out there. There's a lot of tremendous companies out there that are willing to help in a number of different ways, right? Not just pricing strategies, but also customer loyalty, better habits for your showroom, for your call centers if you have those too, right? I mean, how to handle those kind of situations. So that would be my number one recommendation. And then secondly, absolutely come and look us up at NADA as well. There's always something new happening,
Hmm.
right? Cutting edge technologies and things that can help take the headache and the hard work out of running your dealership efficiently and effectively.
Excellent. Wonderful. Those are really great tips and a checklist even to consider even going into the end of January if you're attending NADA show. Um, for me, I always say to dealers and, management in the stores, keep your eyes wide open.
Hmm.
You don't want to miss the next best thing. But if you aren't hunting for it, you won't see it. It's like sometimes I never even knew that car existed. And once you learn about it, then you start seeing it everywhere on the road. So,
Everywhere, right?
but if you don't know to go look for new
Hmm.
emerging technologies, existing technologies, and what's the next new thing they're offering, because people are only going to stay in business as long as you guys have if you're continuously looking to improve the product. So you got to stay on top of new features and also continuing to learn how these products work. 'Cause a lot of times people will buy products and they don't know that, well, they go over change of hands or whatever, but it's always
Yeah.
good to just stay out there and looking for new information. We get caught in the hustle. A lot of times people
Hmm.
they stop learning or keeping their eyes open. And this is what truly makes you competitive. This truly sets you apart from your competitors. This is actually what top performers do. One of my very top performing GMs the other day messaged me and every vendor he works with, and he does this every month. And he lets us know where he stands in the market. This guy went from nothing to he's now toggling number one top Kia store in the country, number one CPO now, and how do you get there? Well, he's constantly pressing his vendors to say, hey, what could we be doing better with your product? What could we be
Hmm.
doing better? And I think that's what you constantly have to be saying is, hey, look at what we're doing with you. Are we doing it right? Are we getting it right? Do we get how this thing works? Are we using
Yep.
it to the maximum? And these are great opportunities to do that when you get out to like NADA and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jen, I couldn't agree with you more. And listen, the marketplace has shifted. That
Mm.
calls on us to do things differently. We cannot cling to traditional methods because we'll
Yeah.
get left in the dust. And I know that this is sometimes overwhelming and daunting
Yeah.
and sometimes hard to comprehend. Can be a little intimidating as well.
Totally.
But I'll tell you that we understand that. I mean, as technology vendors, we understand that. We
Mm.
know that this is uncharted waters or a scary place. And we're here to dissect it all the way down to the nuts and bolts for you, right? To make you understand it and so that you're making a well informed decision
Yes.
about choosing the technology or not. So I would just say, like, you don't have to know it all, right? You don't
No.
have to have your
But
finger
knock
on
on
the
the
pulse
door
on
and find
what it
out.
does and how it works. You don't need that. You can come to us as vulnerable as you like, but don't say no because you don't understand or it intimidates you a little bit. We're all ready and willing to help educate and help steer the needle in the opposite direction.
Thank you, Carla, so much for your expertise and your time, your wisdom, your direction. You're just such a delight to talk to. Thank you so much.
This is too much fun. Thank you for having me, Jen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you like these episodes and my sales game techniques, you should snatch up our latest dealer education program I'm hosting. It's called Jen's Remote Classes, and it's a 1 hour, once a week class with me alongside other dealerships all pursuing the same end game to achieve top 10% status in your dealership. For more info, hit me up. All my contact info's in the show notes. I want to hear from you. And follow Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki right now to get notified when episodes like this one drop. This is Jen on the podcast Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. See ya!